We have some swords energy. The swords, we have Nine of Swords here, which can sometimes be about tension, anxiety, worry. I often call this making mountains out of molehills because, as you can see, the hands are bound here and they're interacting with some of the swords, which represent thoughts. But because there's only a few swords that are actually being activated there, all the rest of these swords, all the other thinking that is to do with this tense, bound, constricted energy, it's sort of like making more thoughts about what's going on than is actually needed. And it says, you may have some problems, but don't make more problems by needlessly worrying or being anxious or having this tension, overthinking things. And Libras can kind of go back and forth on those scales sometimes and weigh everything, side to side and left and right and up and down, and you guys can sometimes drive yourselves crazy. You are an air sign, which is ruled by this swords energy. Swords represent air in the tarot, so it's telling me, you've got maybe come down to earth a little bit. Do some grounding exercises or spend some time with Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio for more emotional grounding, or Capricorn, Virgo, or Taurus to be grounded, or even fire signs, Sag, Leo, or Aries for some more fire. But too much air right now, too much thinking, too much in your head. So that's how it opens up the month of October. And what it's saying too is that by being in your head so much, Libra, you may be missing out on things. This is Four of Cups, which is all about the heart. Four of Cups is someone who is totally introspective and wrapped up in his own thinking and his own mind, and he's examining what is there. Like, he's focused on the three cups that are in the foreground, and it's being preoccupied with all that is. And so because he's preoccupied, he's missing out on the universe handing him a cup, which it means love, heart. It means something that you'll love. It's an opportunity. So by these two cards together say that by being too wrapped up in your woes and problems and anxiety and focusing on what is, you actually may miss out on things that are coming to you, great opportunities for love and enrichment and having your heart be filled, or just even something that you're going to really enjoy, or something that will fill your heart. So that's the message at the beginning of the month, Libra. Is this card always tells me, look up. Get out of your head, look up and out to the outer world of other things that may be coming your way. Yes, you may have a few problems, but don't overthink them. Don't focus on just what is. Look up and be receiving of the cups that the world is trying to hand to you, because it is there. There is joy and fulfillment and love coming to you. You just have to look up to even see it. This tells me here, Ten of Swords, that something is coming to a conclusion for you this month. This card, as you can see, is 10 swords, 10 different thoughts that literally destroy the person. I call this card Bottoming Out, or the Dark Night of the Soul. And I also call it It's Always Darkest Before the Dawn. Because it is a 10 card, it's a completion of a cycle for you in some way or another. In some ways, I'm reading this as it's a completion of a way of thinking about things. One of the things that's going on right here at the end of September for you, Libra, especially with the activation of your sun in Libra and its opposition to Aries with this total lunar eclipse in Aries, is that we're moving away from old Aries stuff, and it's bringing it up for our unconscious. How are we self-focused? It's all the shadow side of Aries stuff. So it's how are we self-focused? How are we self-absorbed? How are we self-centered? How are we self-directed? And it's actually saying you may be letting go of a way of doing things that way, and how can you shift towards where the sun is, what's illuminating things, peace and harmony and order and balance, which is what Libra is all about. So there may be a way in which, like, war and bloodshed is becoming a part of the past for you, or that it's an old way of operating. You don't have those sort of thoughts anymore, and you're not thinking in those terms anymore. Something is ending for you at the beginning of the month, or something has ended. And it may also be in relation to a fire person. This is King of Wands, King of Rods, King of Staffs, and he represents a king of fire. So this is usually represents a Sagittarius, Leo, Aries person, and he's usually in a position of authority, or he may be a partner, or in charge of something. This could also be boss, landlord, any kind of authority figure that's having to do with fire. Because he's in reverse, it tells me that this ending may have something to do with this fire person. So, or it could even just be someone who, King of Rods is an archetype of someone who does things in a very confident, bold, sometimes aggressive, but usually just his own unique way of doing things. He's kind of an eccentric, like Mozart or Walt Disney are great King of Rods archetypes because they were born on that day. But something is ending in relation to this King of Rods person. Towards the middle of the month, you have, this is kind of interesting, you have someone who's a Jack of Coins or Knight of Coins, who is an earth sign. So this is Taurus, Capricorn, or Virgo, and they're showing up for you, and they are dramatically changing the scene. You can see Knight of Coins is someone who's willing to go into battle. And I call him my salesman card. He drives a hard bargain and he considers like the bottom line on things. He also thinks things over, even though most knights and jacks are romantic, playful, clever, trickster types. He is the most pragmatic of all of the jacks. And he thinks about money. He thinks about the impact on things. He weighs the pros and cons, and he considers what the bottom line is going to be. But he's also willing to go into battle. Tower shows that there's flames happening. This is dramatic, sudden change. So it may be that you end something with a King of Rods person, and then this King of Coins person, again, earth sign, Taurus, Capricorn, Virgo, maybe the entry of him may be bringing about dramatic change. Now, this could be someone at your work. This could be someone that you're involved with romantically. This could be a family member. This could be a friend. This could be even like the son of a friend. Jack or Knight usually represents, someone who's, say, not as older as one of the kings, but they've got that playful, fun energy of the Jack. So, but they're creating dramatic, sudden change, and it's like lightning bolts out of the sky, and everything changes. So after that happens, it may cause you to need to take a time out. That's the message of this card. Four of Swords is to, you can see it's the same armor that this Knight of Coins is wearing, but this knight is resting, and he's gathering strength, and he's collecting his strength to fight another day. So when this card shows up, I usually just say, take a time out, take a rest, especially after this dramatic change. If there's a big change that happens in the middle of the month, especially ushered in by any Knight of Coins kind of person, you may want to take some time. Or it's funny too, because this could relate to the Jack, the Knight, because he's wearing the armor. It may be that he shows up, things change dramatically, and then he kind of disappears for a while. He kind of takes a time out and regathers strength too. So this could be you, Libra, or it could just represent that Knight. Or it could just represent needing to take a time out, needing to regain your strength after this Tower, this sudden dramatic change in the middle of the month happens. And then, 8 of Wands. So this is 8 of Fire, 8 of Rods. This represents information, sudden information that you receive. There's 2 cards that represent suddenness here in October. The Tower represents sudden change, and the 8 of Rods represents things happening swiftly, you receiving information, things happening suddenly. You can see that in this card, things are 80 to 90% lined up. So because it's in reverse, it may still happen quickly, but it may not happen as quickly as you want. Or things may still be taking a little while to fully line up. You may still be waiting for that last piece of information that unlocks all the puzzle, unlocks the final puzzle piece. if it were in its upright form, I would say you would receive it. But because it's in reverse, that last piece of information is somehow being delayed or in suppression, in shadow. And it may be in relation to this Knight of Coins, because if this dramatic change happens and then he disappears or you take a time out, there may be something about just time out and the last piece of information coming to you may still be, it looks like it's still coming to that knight who's taking a time out, but there is more information coming that will complete the picture. So that's towards the middle of the month for you, Libra. And then at the end of the month, you have Hanged Man in reverse. The normal appearance of this card in its upright form is this, which again means hanging in the balance, taking a time out. There's a little bit of enlightenment highlighted in this card, and there's also not a care of what society is saying when this card shows up, but because it's in the reverse position, it's especially along with this card, it tells me that you may be trying to rush things. Eight of Rods in reverse, as well as Hangman in reverse, tell me there may be a way in which your impatience is showing up, or that you may be trying to rush things to happen further and faster than they really will naturally do. And also, Hangman in the upright position says he's comfortable with waiting and hanging out and just waiting for things to happen. Because he's in reverse, it's telling me you might be uncomfortable with having to wait on things. And you might be very concerned about what higher level people, what authorities are thinking of you. I can see in this card, the Emperor is looking at Hangman and saying, you're not doing things the normal, regular way that everyone else does. You need to follow the rules. You need to follow structure and order. You are actually embodying your own unique self and doing things your own way, but you might be really uncomfortable with it. You might be concerned about what other people are thinking who are the higher ups. Whether it's social or at your work or some sort of authority figure, someone who's usually in a position of authority, someone that you look up to. Emperor is usually concerned with rules and order and boundaries and regulations and how things should go. And Hangman is a natural rule breaker. He'll do things at any cost just to do things his own way, and that's why he's strung up here for all to see. So you may be feeling at odds with authority, with the established order. And it's good that you're doing things your own way, but you're not as comfortable with it as you could be, and you may be uncomfortable and waiting for this season to pass. However, you do end up in this sort of sunny, wonderful position. The Sun card is very favorable. The Sun card is all about radiance. It's showing here that partnership is showing up. This is the time of Libra where partnership is focused. And because we did just have this, or we're about to actually have this total lunar eclipse in Aries, it's showing that we're completing old ways of just being self-preoccupied and then alternately focusing on partnership and balance and how do we show up in partnership. And this shows that you've got this sort of radiant, there's all these sunflowers. This shows radiance and vibrancy for you towards the end of the month. This could just be for you, or this could be you in partnership, either way. But you're going to have to go through an uncomfortable period feeling like the higher ups are looking at you, or those who are in authority positions are maybe scrutinizing you. But then once you get through that, you're going to realize, no, it was worth it. It was worth just being myself and doing things my own way, because now I'm just being my radiant self. I'm full of self-acceptance and joy, and radiance is what Sun is about. And also, there may be a way in which that cup shows up for you at the end of the month too. Page of Cups is optimism towards love. Cups are all about the emotions and love. So this fish represents like a leaping of the heart, and the page is a young person. So this is like fresh, innocent, sometimes it can be a little bit naive, but it's sort of like pursuing things with a passion or being willing to be hopeful and optimistic towards something. that you may not have done before. Because it's in reverse, it may mean that you may be a little bit impulsive towards things, but paired with the sun here, this Page of Cups is very positive, and it just speaks to optimism and willingness of the heart. I will just emphasize for you, Libra, there is a lot as far as you just might need to slow down. It seems like this can be impetuous behavior. It can be like jumping at something. It can be the word infatuation can kind of show up here. So don't rush things with this Eight of Rods and with Hangman in reverse. My comment to you would be to take time to slow down, especially if you have dramatic change in the middle of the month, and just take it easy. Take things slow. Don't overthink things, and be willing to receive the cups that are coming to you. That's emotion and love and joy. So that's my reading for you, Libra, for October. We will be switching out of this current Mercury retrograde on October 29th. So if you have any large purchases or contracts or decisions to be made or large assets, I would hold off until after the 9th.